Hello, my name is Michael Griffin. For the art of outdoor survival, I'm going to sit here and talk about one of the last things, zoology, and how you can apply that to better understand outdoor survival skills. A lot of people don't think about things like this, but it can really be an advantage to you if you have the basic understanding of zoology. And what I'm talking about is, you know, the way animals are designed and the way they feed and stuff like that, it all helps you better understand where to find animals or what's going on with the animals or what the animals' needs are. And it's a basic concept. It's not rocket science, but you can um, go into a foreign country, catch a fish, or find a certain mammal that you don't know anything about, and within a short period of time, you kind of gather what to do, what kind of hunting you're going to do to catch more of these animals and fish. But what I'm talking about is, just look at your face in a sense. Eyes, eyes is a clear understanding of what type of um, animal this is. Is it prey or is it predator? Is it caught in between? You can see this on most prey animals. The eyes are going to be set pretty much where our temples are. And the reason for that is they can see almost 360 degrees around. They can see all the way behind them, all the way in front of them. There's just one little tiny blind spot back here that they won't be able to see. And that's their disadvantage point. And you can use that if you're actually stalking an animal like that to better get closer to him. But otherwise, he's going to be able to see you. He knows you're coming before you even see it. You can't see behind us. Our own eyes tells us that we're major predators. We have high eyebrows. This part of the eyes right here keep the sun from pointing in your eyes so you can actually, it's kind of like a visor on a baseball cap. It kind of gives you the ability to see out a little bit more. Um, Ears on another way. I mean, we have ears that are on the side of our face, and we're not really concerned with sounds that are really behind us as much, and not really in front of us. It's just around our surroundings. Well, a rabbit, he could take his ears and change them, or a deer can change them to better get a better hearing. You can do that with your own ears. If you do like this, the sound instantly improves just like that. So if you hear something there, you take your ears, do like that, instantly you pick up on that sound a lot clearer. It amplifies it. Um, Another way of looking at animals is your teeth right here. So you don't know what the actual type of fish it is, and what's he gonna do, and how he gets his prey or his food. And simple, I mean, rabbits aren't gonna have sharp fang looking teeth. Can't carnivore teeth. And so when you look at a skull or you look at the animal that you see or the fish or whatever, you can instantly see what type of food source is eating. You may not even know anything about this animal or fish. But instantly looking at its teeth, each front teeth are cutters. They can cut both meat and vegetables. So rabbits can have it, and people like us can have it. Because, rabbits are going to use it to cut bark and grass, and we're going to use it to cut both vegetables and meat. Then you got the carnivore teeth that are going to be tears. They tear meat, so we're going to eat a source that's meat wise that tears tears flesh. Tigers have the big fang teeth in the front, carnivore teeth, because they have to rip through the flesh. And even the jaw size, the power of the jaw, how much power can that jaw actually put down on something? So when you go back in the back, you get these little molars back there, and they pretty much grind food up. Mostly, you want to grind grains and chop up meat. So just looking at the teeth alone can tell you a lot of deer don't have other teeth. They only have it on one jawline, and so that tells you the importance of what type of food he's eating. A shark, on the other hand, he would have um, like fang teeth that kind of go like this, and that's for pinning his food down, holding it, make sure it doesn't escape. He comes down on it, the prey can't escape. And then he has these triangle teeth that are called cutter teeth, and they'll have little tiny serrated edges on it. And that while he's pinning it down, he clamps down on it, and it cuts right through the flesh very easily. So if you see teeth like that in the animal kingdom, that's a high predator animal. He has no clipper teeth or molar teeth in the back. He's a pure animal eater. And so when you look at that, it's quite easy. You can see this in birds as well. You look at the beaks. When you see a beak that has a point like this, and a very tapered lower jaw, that's a predator bird. He's using that beak to tear on flesh. But like in parrots, on the calls, you'll kind of see that little bend, but the bottom part will be a little bit rounder. And that means that he can tear into fruit and then crush it. When you get there like sparrows and stuff, you'll see the beak kind of comes together at like this point. And that's really a crusher. It crushes the actual grains of the seed that is where you get the food out of it. And just looking at the mouth and the face, the eyes and the ears, you can pretty much tell what an animal is doing. Another trick is if you have the animal, don't throw out the guts. If you're gutting the animal, look at the animal's guts and squeeze it out, put it in a bowl or some kind of leaf or something, and spread it out with a stick and kind of get an idea of what this animal's been eating. That's a great way, especially for fishermen, is to look and find out what kind of bug that fish may be eating so he can better imitate that bug or that food source. Or, if they're feeding heavily on worms, well then, and you see worms all over the belly, go find those worms and use that as bait. Don't use grasshoppers. Common sense is if 80% of his diet is worms, then your chances of catching a fish using a worm compared to a grasshopper is going to be 80% better. So just common basic sense. You can also, if you don't see the animal, if you're tracking, you can look at the scant, which is doo-doo, what do you want to call it, but take it and squish it with a stick. Rabbit quickly you pick up in your hand, deer quickly you can pick up in your hand generally. But you can push it through and you can see the seeds. You can see the actual fruit itself, or the grass, or the leaves, or something, or the animal bones, and you can pick it apart and go, okay, this animal. Example, let's use a deer. You find a lot of persimmon seeds in the animal. They're little flat seeds, got a brown shell on them, and you see tons of those. Well, go find the persimmon tree, and you'll find that deer. It's that easy. And during the winter solstice, the food's going to change. So if you're constantly looking at the dude of an animal, the scat, then you can better understand where to go. You don't have to use the environment and all the things I've been teaching you before, but you can actually use things that you find on the ground, to better understand what you need or the guts of an animal. Um, a lot of times when you're like, say you're gutting a fish, not all fish follow this pattern, but generally most fish do. Red meat fish are literally fish that have to stay in the environment and work against current all the time. Think of salmon, trout, going upstream. He's constantly fighting the current, so he's building red muscle tissue. And so when you gut a fish, you can say it's red. Common sense is going to say that this fish is a travels up the river at a very long distance, and he's always fighting the current. So normally you want to keep finding this fish in a fast-moving river. A white flesh fish, generally in the river system, not all white fish, but especially like in the ocean, most white fish in a river system are going to be kind of lazy kind of animals. They're going to have more sunshine. They're going to be just passing in and out, just kind of just doing their thing. So they never get a chance to build that red meat. You can see this in catfish. If you go to a farm raised catfish pond, and you flay that fish out, there's a very tiny red mud line that's in that fish. Because that fish doesn't really go anywhere. He's being fed all the time. He's basically somebody's pet. So he doesn't have to work hard. But if you go in the river system, that red line is going to be a little bit thicker down that fish because he has to fight that current and he's got to keep moving. And then you head down to the tidal creeks and see the sea cats, the catfish. There's a humongous red mud line running through there. And that's because he's always fighting tidal currents, so he's building a lot of muscle. And a lot of people don't like that fish. But in reality, you cut that mud line out, the fish is just as good as any other catfish. You just got to remove that red flesh. But just looking at the flesh alone can tell you what kind of animal this is. Even in the same species, you can have um, river channel cats over here with more red flesh than the pond or the lake channel cats that have more white fish. So if you like more flavorful fish, you want to be where the lazy catfish are, not the ones that are really working so hard. And you'll have a better tasting fish. Uh, Another thing is I'm trying to think of. Oh, the shape line of it. Let's use fish as an example. You get this long, narrow taper fish. Well, think of a salmon or a trout in this sense. That tells you that they're straight line because they're fighting current all the time. It saves them a lot of energy. It's like an eddy, like a car. Air goes over it and comes back. Well, the water goes over it and comes back. They don't use a lot of energy trying to do that. But when you get into the more bass family, you start getting more fatter body, a little fatter body. It's going to be a little more punky out, and that's because they can kind of go both ways. They can be in fast waters, they can be in slow water. Then you're going to end up with fish like sunfish that are basically just round-looking fish almost, like a frisbee disc or something. So they're going to like a little bit more slower water. Now they can hang out in the rapids, but generally most of those type of sunfish type, they're going to be hanging in slower water. You think of lily pads when you think of sunfish. So when you find a fish in a market and you know it's in this area, you say, hey, that was a great Texas fish. I want to catch some of those. I'm out in China. I don't know anything. Just look at the body of the fish, see what's inside of it. You're already ahead of the game. Um, and you can pretty much find that fish. Uh, a little trick I like to talk about with game animals, since I have a little bit more time here. You can actually, when you find a trail, and you want to know when that animal is passing through, but you're not going to sit there all day long. What you can do is you can find two trees along the trail. Just place two sticks or vines or whatever. And what you want to do is you want to take a piece of black nylon string or sewing thread or just a fiber from something that you find from plants or something. You can string it. You tie it over here and run it straight across and just kind of loosely wrap it around. That way it can be easily taken off. So when the animal walks through and he hits that line, whatever direction he's going, he's going to pull that line that way. So if you come up and it's early in the morning and you're setting up your line and you come in the afternoon to check it and the deer has already passed through, well that line's going to be broken and it's going to be headed to the direction that they're going. So it gives you a little advantage of being able to understand what they're doing in that certain area. There's a little trick I use when I used to go hunt a lot up in down in the southeast. But it really does work. It saves you a lot of time and energy, and that you can quickly find what the animals are doing. If you're a little confused, but you know they're using that trail system. It can tell you if they're coming up late at night and you're just wasting your time. They're not going to be there in your hunting spot. Another trick is to walk up a river bank or canoe down a river bank or just put your hip boots on and start walking down the river and just look for the animal crossings. Eventually you're going to come to one and you're going to see a lot of traps coming